What is good, everyone? We're back with another stream here today. Finally have a guest on after a long hiatus. This is our third guest we've had on here now for Thunder Digest. We haven't been around that long, so I'm glad that we finally got to this point where people are starting to come on a little bit. If you guys remember, we had Jacob Kniffen on. Then we had Satvir over at Thunder Talk. He came on and talked for a bit. Someone that's been supporting the channel for a long time, ever since we started. He's been really great. Getting us rocking and rolling. And then finally, we have someone that's kind of known as, I guess he's a Thunder legend in his own regards as well, with what he's been doing and everything. But if you guys don't know him, he is one of the hosts of Topic Thunder over there right now. It's Topich Thunder for our lovely Nicola Topich over here. But it's, this is something I've been, wanting to do for a long time. I'm finally glad we got him over here. But ladies and gentlemen, ThunderChats, a.k.a. Dylan. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, because I'm known to mess up everyone's last name. So go ahead, kind of introduce yourself and everyone, and tell them, if no one knows who you are, which they should by now, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, man. My name is Dylan Hunsinger. Like I said, at Thunder Chats. Appreciate you having me on here. Excited to meet you face to face. We've interacted many times on the timeline, so it's cool to meet you here. But always down to talk Thunder basketball. Always down to talking many different forums. Spaces, podcast, video, like whatever, man. I just love Thunder, and it's nice to take a step back from the hosting chair and kind of let you drive and just let me kind of go along for the ride. So
Yeah, no, I get that. Sometimes it does get frustrating, having it to be the driving factor sometimes. So I get that a little bit. Don't worry. We have a few things that we are going to cover today. Just really like three main things, and then at the end, if we have time, if we're not going for too long, we'll answer whatever questions we have in the chat here. But
cool.
we got a good list of items that I think I sent you over earlier. I think I sent you over. Hopefully I did. But
I think you did.
Something I just want to kind of start off with that we kind of saw last night in that NBA Cup win over the Dallas Mavericks. We're still smoking that Mavs pack right now. All right, we're still smoking that, but it just got me thinking. What teams out in the league can truly stop this Thunder team? Because like we've been looking at it, this defense, it's gonna be like it might historically be the best defense in NBA history. Like it's that dominant. We have Alex Caruso out there, which I believe you mentioned that's kind of like your play style.
Yeah.
So representing all of us out there
that
just have heart, pretty much. But I mean, like just with all the players that we added and how the teams, kind of progressed so far, I don't really see many teams that can stop them. I'm just wondering, like, if you see anyone out there, East and West Conference, anyone out there that can truly stop this Thunder team in a 7-game series.
Yeah, I got the Derek White player comp last time we played, but I would say I'm more Caruso just because of I tend to end up on the floor a lot. I be diving on the ground. I get myself hurt a little bit, so I'd say I'm more Caruso. But yeah, no. In terms of your question, like if there's teams that I think that can take Thunder 7-game series, like hey, going back to Derek White, I would say the Celtics are the best answer because they have. Those two just perimeter demons and Drew Holiday and Derek White. Obviously, they have Jason Tatum, who's a superstar in his own right. They just did it last year. They brought back pretty much everybody from the main rotation. They've got another unicorn in their own right, Kristaps Porzingis, to try to contend with OKC's and Jaylen Brown, man. He's been a wrecking crew this year, and Peyton Pritchard just out of nowhere, just giving them some bench scoring. That's huge for him. So I think that in terms of just kind of going like blow for blow, like player for player, the defense, the offense, I think that Boston poses the best threat. But like if you're looking in the West, I'm slow to say this because it can come back and bite you like really fast, but like I've kind of felt this way even in the offseason. I'm not scared of anybody in the West. Like I'm not scared of Boston, but I acknowledge like, hey, they're the champs. They were historically great in the regular season last year. They were like one of like the top 20 regular season teams in terms of like their record and like the numbers they were putting up. And they can match up with us. But like, yeah, if you're just talking about in the Western Conference and outside of Boston, I don't think anybody can hang with us. Honestly, like I think Boston will be a good matchup, but like if we're fully healthy, like I like our chances against anybody.
That's kind of how I feel. Like fully healthy, I don't see
Mhm.
anyone that can beat this Thunder team in a 7-game series. Fully healthy. Now, injuries, like right now, I think there are teams that can compete with us and potentially beat us. Like you mentioned, Boston, all right. At the moment, because they're starting to get healthy now. Kristaps is finally back. Jalen Brown was dealing with something. He's back now as well. I think at the moment, Boston definitely could, but fully
Mhm.
healthy, because you got to think we still only have one center. We still
Yep.
don't have J Will, all right, who has yet to play yet this season. Hopefully we see him during the NBA Cup. Maybe we'll see some action. I don't know about that. Maybe it'll be afterwards at like a home game, see him back. But just having him on the court will help out a ton. And then Chet, who was kind of acting as the team's second best player,
Yep.
um, for majority of the beginning of the season before he went down, and then Dub stepped into that role, who's playing at an All NBA level. But it's the fact that we now have, like, I can confidently say, 3 All NBA level players on our team, and then like 4 or 5 defensive, all defensive team players as well. Like it's just the fact I don't see any other teams that can have both of those kind of, you know, accolades for their players. I could see like Boston potentially having like 3 All NBA guys with Kristaps, but
Mhm.
all defensive, I wouldn't go that far with them.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's kind of even gone back to last season, just in the fact that this Thunder team can beat you in so many different ways. Like they can beat you playing slow, they can beat you running up and down the court in transition, they can beat you in the half court, they can beat you full court. They can lock in, and that's on both ends. Like they can beat you in the half court offense or in transition offense. They could beat you half court defense, transition defense. At the point of attack, next to the rim. Like it's just that they have so many different weapons, and this is the like it's not even hyperbole to say this is the deepest team OKC has ever had. It is one of the deepest leagues or one of the deepest teams in the league, and it's probably up there in top to bottom, one of the deepest like teams in history.
No doubt.
So like we just have guys that we could just keep throwing at you, and that's why. We talked about before the season about, I'm an optimist at heart. So like I was like, nobody can hang with us. Like if I'm giving record prediction, like I'm gonna try to be tame because I don't want to get roasted. But like in my heart of hearts, if we're like healthy and nothing happens, I thought we could push for 70 wins. I thought we could push to break the Warriors record with the
Yeah.
team that we had assembled. But and Alex, he's more of a Alex Roy. Shout out my co-host Alex Roy. He's more of a realist, and he's like, I don't know, man. We got really lucky with all the injuries this past year. I just kind of think injuries are gonna kind of sneak and bite us in the butt. My whole thing was we're deep enough that we can sustain that. And I was knocking on wood when I said that, so don't come at me for Chet's injury or anybody like that. But we've seen that, like it stood the test of the injury. Even when we didn't have Hartenstein, Chet stepped up. When we didn't have Chet or Hartenstein, like collectively, the team
Yeah.
stepped up. We had enough bodies to, kind of throw at the big man and, survive without a center. Now, Hartenstein back, we're still surviving Chet being out. Kendrick Williams is back. That's starting to alleviate things. When Caruso was out, Queso stepped up, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, like top to bottom, it's really like it's so cliche, but it's a next man up mentality in the highest regard. And we've seen top to bottom, like all the way number one at Shea, all the way down to my guy Usman Jang at the bottom of the rotation. Like there have been guys that have popped and flashed this season when we needed to most, and I mean that's just a testament to how deep we are.
You mentioned Oos. Are you part of the Jane Gang? Are you? Are
I
you?
I am the originator of the Jang Gang, my friend. I don't know if
I
you
I was on it. I was on it for a bit, and I'm hopping back on the Jang train a little bit after I was
yeah.
seeing him play with the limited minutes he got. And I was like, I kept on saying, I was like, guys, he looks really solid in the minutes he's getting. He looks aggressive. He looks physical. It looks like he's actually stepped up into his own a little bit. But now he's injured, and I don't know when the next time we'll see him is. And it might be one of those Jeremiah Robinson Earl situations where I see with
Hmm.
them. It's also the same thing I'm worried about with Jay Will, where it's one of those situations where they get injured, they get outshined by someone else on the team, and then all of a sudden, front office is like, you know what, we don't need you anymore because someone actually has stepped up and has been playing better than you. That's what I'm worried about with those two guys right now. But like you mentioned, Oos. Like he's looking really solid to me when he does get time. He's looking
Yeah,
really
and
solid.
yeah, and the thing with Ooze is like, I mean, this is a guy that has taken like the biggest dump like from his fan base on the past couple of years, and he's taken that on the chin. He's playing in a role in a position that he's not comfortable in. He's out of his comfort zone, and he's stepping up. And it's a learning process as he goes. Like he's still one of the youngest players in the league, like going into this
Yeah.
year. And
He's what,
this was
21?
yeah, and like this is year three. Like, everybody knew when we drafted him, it was gonna be a project. And projects usually take more than 3 years. Like that's just how it works out. And I think that he kind of, as he was playing, like, those extended like backup big minutes, I think he improved every game. Like he wasn't knocking down like three threes every game or like making like super loud blocks, but in terms of like being playing sound defense need to be, not making mistakes, moving the ball, making quick decisions, not panicking, and being aggressive going to the rim. Like I feel like
Yep.
he really improved in all those areas throughout the season. But yeah, no, I was talking about how I originated Jane Gang. I don't know if I don't know if you were the listeners or anybody was like listening to the pod. Like back in 2022, we had just a slew of draft guests, and like
Yeah.
you know, I do no draft, like I do like very little draft research through the season, and like we just hammered the draft in the off season. And so like through that and kind of seeing some names to look at, like that's how we kind of start to form our own opinion and build our boards. And there's audio proof on one of the podcasts. I said that my ideal draft scenario is to draft Chet Holmgren at 2 and to try to trade one of our picks to get 2 lottery picks and get Jalen Williams and Usman Jang. And
Yup.
there's audio proof. And it happened on draft night, and I didn't even realize it. Shout out my guy Matty Moles, co-host of the pod also. He was like, "What was your ideal draft scenario?" I was like, "Oh my God, I called it."
I think that reminded me. I think it was the day before the NBA lottery back in, when was it? 2022? When it was Chet, Dub, and
Yeah,
Oos and
yeah.
everyone? 2022? Yeah. I think it was the day before the lottery. I tweeted out, this was when I had like 20 followers. Sorry. I just tweeted out and I was like, the Oklahoma City Thunder will end up with Chet Holmgren at the number 2 overall pick. All right. They ended up getting the number 2
There you
overall
go.
pick the next day. I'm like, this is all the talk is like, oh, Chet might jump up to the number 1 spot. Orlando might take him, and Paolo might drop to OKC. I'm like, dang, I'm going to be off and everything. And then I saw Orlando draft Paolo Banchero, the number 1 overall pick, and I was like, and maybe I'm just a genius. Maybe OKC needs to hire me for a front office spot. I don't know. Maybe they just need to get me up there somehow. How?
Speaking into existence, man. That's what
That's
you got to
yeah.
do.
That's simple. Like it was one of my greatest moments as a fan. I was like, I predicted this. No one else can, hop on and say like you stole this from someone. Oh, you said this, right before the draft. Blah blah blah. I was like, no, I called this like 2 months in advance. 2 months in advance, I had it. But yeah, I mean, like that's pretty much all I have for that first one right there. I mean, we talked about it. West, we briefly talked about the West. There's no one I'm scared about. There are teams that I'd be cautious about, like Dallas, just because they do have PJ Washington, who strikes fear into my heart anytime I see him. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's about it. Nuggets, I'm not worried. Lakers, Warriors, Rockets, I'm not worried. They're in the same spot that we were last season, where they're performing better than expected. Right now, I just think that they don't have the age or experience yet. Where OKC, now that we've made, a playoff, run a little bit, made it to the semifinals, are Dub and Chet now have playoff experience. Even the in-season tournament's going to help out a ton, I feel like. And Houston, this is like their first, kind of action of playoff atmosphere a little bit, is the in-season tournament, and I just don't think that's going to be enough for them, and that's why I'm not worried about them at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, Houston has turned some heads. They've impressed. I think that they're definitely headed towards the right direction. I can't say that I can't say it's fair based on how the last game went, but I think their biggest thing is like late in games, like who's that guy? Like
Yep.
like a lot of times Şengün's not on the floor. Like
No.
Jalen Green is not that guy. Fred VanVleet, not that guy. Like I don't like Amin Thompson is like in terms of like mentality, I think he could be that guy, but in terms of skill set, like it's not matching it. Like he doesn't have the self creation, to kind of be that guy to put them over the hump. And like in the game scenarios. So I
And like
would.
I wrote an article about that as
Mhm.
well. I ranked all the NBA Cup tournament teams that are left, like all eight of them. And the Rockets, I think I had them at like 5 or 4. And my reason for being is like they, could make a run, but it's a matter of the fact that late in the game, they're inconsistent and they don't have this one guy that they can rely on. Late in the game, the
Mhm.
Thunder, they have Shea. Dallas, late in the game, they have Luca. Bucks, they have Giannis. All these teams have this one guy that they can rely on. And Houston hasn't figured out yet. Is it Jalen Green? Is it Sangoon? Are you going to say Fred VanVleet, take us to the promised land? Which is kind of a bold statement there. But just Houston, they need to figure out what their players' kind of mindset and who they are as players themselves. Sangoon has to get better on defense. He can't be left out in those late situations. Like, it's just, they have a lot to figure out before I can actually be like, yeah, I would be cautious of them going into a game. But right now, 7-game series, I think we beat them in 5. They might take like one away from us at their place, but that's it.
Yeah, I think that, you're kind of right on the head. Like, I think the Mavericks are like probably the second best team in the West right now. I do think, the Grizzlies are creeping up. I think that
Yep.
they're a really fun team. They've got a lot of depth. They've got a lot of ways to beat you, and they have experience here. Like, this is basically the core that has been at the top of the West before. So obviously they suffered a lot of injuries last year, and they're kind of creeping their way back into that conversation this year. So that's a team I'd keep an eye on. Warriors, I think that if they make a trade, they could really not really worry me, but kind of draw my attention a little bit
Yeah.
more. I'm I'm not worried about the Warriors as much in the postseason just because they did this last year. They started out hot and it kind of teetered. They had
Yeah.
some injuries. Some of the players that were playing over their heads, kind of came back down to earth, and we kind of saw the results of that. And it's happening again this year. They started off really hot. They beat us. They beat a couple other people. Obviously it helped that Chet went down in that game for them. That's besides the point. But now you're seeing Steph miss some time. You're seeing
Yeah.
Draymond miss some time. Andrew Wiggins miss some time. Now they're trying to showcase Kuminga and Draymond's coming off the bench. Like they're trying to play a game within the game, try to have their cake and eat it too. And I just don't know how that's going to work out for
Yeah.
them.
I just don't think it's going to work out. And like, even if they do trade for like Jimmy Butler, which is rumored to potentially happen,
Mm-hmm.
them, Houston, and Dallas are the rumors right now where he's going to go. Even if he goes to Golden State, they're going to have to give up a lot of like bench pieces to go over there. Like, sure, you'll have, you know, Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, some really good offensive weapons, but outside of that, when they come off the court, who do you have coming in that can kind of man the ship? You're going to have to trade Kuminga no matter what. Probably going to have to trade Pods as well and another player off your bench as well, where it's like at the end of the day, you are going to be 5 guys deep. And like, I love Lindy Waters. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love Lindy, and I'm glad he's been getting some starts over there. But having him as like your third best option, scoring wise, like I just don't see you making a finals run. He's a good, role player. He's a great guy. It's just having him as
Mhm.
your third scoring option as a starter, it just can't get you far, especially in the West this year.
Yeah, and then I just think the cat trade just kind of ruined the Timberwolves, man.
Cats,
Like,
yeah. That's the one thing that they had over everyone was like we have dominant size at the center and power
mhm.
forwards position, especially if Nas Reed coming off the bench. That's what they had over all the Western Conference teams. That's what had me a little bit worried about them last year as well. If we saw them in the playoffs, was the fact that they had size. They could compete with us because of the size. And then they traded away Cat this summer, which is going to be the worst trade that the Timberwolves ever done. It's going to put the franchise back like 10 years.
Yeah, no, it it looked better on paper because Julius Randle and he's been all right this year as a player, but he doesn't give you that like my whole thing was like the spacing that Cat was providing,
Yup.
not just on the floor because DiVincenzo was a great 3-point shooter last year as well. He provides spacing, but the spacing that he provides at the power forward at the big position, like that gives you a different dimension of spacing than a guard or a wing does. So I thought that was going to be something that they would struggle with, and it's kind of bared its fruit. Like, because Julius Randle kind of operates out of the post, in the mid post on the short roll, stuff like that, and it
Yeah.
clogs up the lanes a little bit for Anthony Edwards. And I mean, hey, you've seen Ant put up some games of like 8 points. I know that because I've bet on him, and he has not hit that line. So, yeah, I think the Timberwolves have a lot to figure out still. It's not working as easily as it should with a guy who
Yeah.
was as lethal last year as Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned working out because there are I feel like things that the Thunder could address as well. This goes into like our little second segment of the stream. There are always things a team can work on. Like that's just bottom line. Teams always have something that they can improve on. Is there something that you've seen that the Thunder could definitely look into it at practices and days off? Be like, hey, we seriously got to improve of this. Like anything that you've noticed.
I mean, I would say the only thing that kind of sticks out to me is that 3-point shooting that was so deadly and potent last year has not really showed up as much this year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know just like based on the eye test, like last night, like, we shot 20 of 50, like we shot 40%. It was
Yeah.
great, but we missed a lot of open looks. And it feels like, we was knocking down more of those looks when we was taking less of them last year. And it just feels like as we've upped the volume, the efficiency hasn't quite followed. So I think that, like a reliable 3-point shooting threat would be great, but
Yeah.
everybody in the league wants a reliable 3-point shooting threat.
Everyone would die for one of those guys. I agree with you on that. The 3-point shooting has definitely gone down. I keep on having to remind myself though, it's like, hey, we're taking more shots. Daig said at the beginning of the year in preseason, he was like, I understand we were a really good 3-point shooting team last year. However, we were one of the worst teams when it came to 3 points attempted each game. I think we only attempted like 31 a game last season.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this year we're attempting almost 40 a game. Well, a 10 increase right there. So of course percentages are going to go down. We're making the same amount of threes as we did last season. That's the thing. We're still making the same amount of threes. It's just we would like to see, around 3 to 4 more a game go down, or else, like that changes a lot of outcomes this year. I look at it. The fact that Cason Wallace, I think he went 0 of 6 from the field in a loss against Denver earlier in the season. And we lost by 2. He makes 1 3. We win. It's the same thing with Caruso. He went 0 of 4 from 3 in that game. He makes 1 3. We win. It's just a bunch of stuff like that where, if we made all our open attempts, which you're not always going to, but if we were really efficient and make a majority of them, we might only have 2 losses at the moment. That's what's been kind of bothering me is that we have to make our open looks. And if we by far, everyone would know we are the best team in the league because we'd be 20 something and 2, 23 and 2 so far.
We'd be running through teams if we were making our threes. Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like it's few and far between where like 2 or 3 of Cason, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso, Kendrick Williams are all knocking down their threes. Like whenever your role players are making threes, it makes life so much easier on your team. And like, there's been some games where, like last game, like I think that we shot pretty good, like Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace specifically. Yep. But again, Wiggins had an off game in terms of like offensively. Caruso had an off game offensively. Kendrick was in there. So like, that was like one of the ally games, but it feels like it's 1 or 2 of them popping and the other one's kind of struggling. Whereas like last year, it felt like it was a 3-headed monster with Cason, Zay, and Wiggins.
Yeah. Also Wiggins, I've been a little bit concerned with the lack of minutes he's been getting lately. Like I looked at the game last night. He only had 9 minutes last night. And like there are games he's only getting like 12 or 13 a game. And he's like the 9th guy to come off the bench when like honestly, I think he's our best bench player right now. I think he's our best player because he is just great at everything he does. He's a great 3-point shooter. He's just a great on-ball scorer, off-ball scorer. He's great at defense. Like he does everything at a great level, but yet he's getting kind of down on the chain a little bit in rotation minutes, and it's been a little bit concerning for me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because like early in the season, like I mean, first game like against the Nuggets, he popped in a big way, and I was on national television, and like I was like, can I just start calling him Wiggy because he reminds like people was talking about like Alex Caruso was like our Derek White. I was like,
yeah,
Aaron Wiggins is our Andre Iguodala. Like if he's playing like this, and
yeah.
unfortunately, it didn't fully continue. Like I said, the consistencies and inconsistencies of like the bench guys. And I think it's more so, obviously that, but also Daig's just like experiment. He likes giving those young guys time. Like, Dylan Jones, I don't think he got any run yesterday, but AJ Mitchell
just
like
that
his
last
pet
minute.
project. Yeah. AJ Mitchell's like his pet project, and those guys are going to get run early in the season. As the blue, starts to kick in, maybe they'll get some more run down there, but for the meantime, Mark's going to try to have his cake and eat it too. He's going to try to develop while having a contender. And, if you can thread that needle, awesome. And, I think that he has enough grace with the roster and the talent of this roster to be able to do that. And I think, at least he's not catching DMPs like he was last year.
True.
But
So,
for my money, I would say that for the better, like for the future, obviously like Caruso's there, but I think that in order for this Thunder team to like really be what they can be, Cason Wallace needs to be the best bench player on the team. And he had a really rough start to the season. And, thankfully he started to come out of that slump. He's starting to knock down shots, never lost confidence, like, shooting confident, like mechanically, nothing like looked wrong with the shot. It just wasn't, sometimes it doesn't go in. It's make or miss league, but the shot's looking good. He's looking explosive around the rim. And he's just an absolute monster defensively. I was talking about in the podcast last night about, how he was defending Luka and just the dichotomy, the diversity of Lou Dort and Cason Wallace as defenders, because Lou Dort, very physical, very strong. Like he's going to be all up in you. He's going to make you work for everything. Cason Wallace, not as strong, not as big as Lou Dort, but has much longer wingspan, like much longer arms. And I said, even like before we drafted him, like, just, as we were in like the draft cycle, from what I saw at UK, because, big UK fan, Cason Wallace has some of the quickest hands of like anybody I had seen in a draft prospect in terms of like blocking shots and stealing balls. And I mean, that's kind of bared its fruit in his NBA career. So if he can like consistently, I'm not even talking about what he did last year, being like basically just a 3-and-D guard. Like if he could consistently do that while giving you some on-ball creation, or at least, driving opportunities as, as the, not even the main guard, because I think Topic, people tend to forget about Topic, but that's going to be Topic's role next year. But if he could just be like a complimentary guy that's, driving the lane in addition to providing all this stuff, I think he could be the best bench player, and I think that's the best for the Thunder in the future.
I think Cason Wallace should be a starter. That's what I've been pushing a bit. Like I think he's been playing very well in the starting role, and like it's something I noticed. Like when we start Isaiah Joe, he doesn't really do all that well. He actually shoots it, I think, 31% from three as a starter, but he shoots it 43% off the bench, like something like that. Insane increase. He just does better as a bench player. He does better coming off the bench. Same thing with Aaron Wiggins. He does better coming off the bench than being a starter. Cason Wallace is the only guy that has done better as a starter than as a bench player. And I think it's been something that's kind of helped out this team a lot. It's just a matter of that we can start off to such an early lead, early advantage, due to the fact that our defense, our starting five defense, is just insane, to where we saw it last night. We only gave up 24 points in the first quarter to Dallas. Held Luka to 2 points in the first half. That's why I like him being a starter, just the tenacity and just the kind of, just willpower we have on the defensive end. Now, offensively, he can shoot that three ball. His driving has gotten a lot better over the summer, and so he does provide that on the other side of the ball. But just for the defensive factor alone, I think he deserves that starting role.
Yeah, hey, I would absolutely love it. I think that, once we get like to the nitty-gritty, once we get in the playoffs, I think it's ultimately Caruso that takes that fifth starter spot. I think that we're really just doing everything we possibly can to preserve that man, because it don't matter how many games he sat out. As soon as he gets back in the game, he's diving on the floor.
Yep.
He's throwing his body around like a freaking torpedo. So, we're trying to preserve him as much as we can so he's healthy in the playoffs. And once he's in the playoffs, I think that we're going to set him loose. And, we've seen him play with the starters. We've seen, like small sample sizes of what he's played with like our best five, which, ideally, like our best five is probably Shai, Dub, Caruso, Chet, and Hartenstein when we're healthy. And we haven't seen that lineup on the floor.
No, we haven't.
So, like, once we get to the playoffs, like I fully believe that could be a lineup that we throw at teams. And good luck, man. I don't see you scoring on that one. I don't see you stopping them offensively. Like, just good luck.
Yeah. I don't see Caruso necessarily starting. I do see him part of the closing lineup. 100%.
Yeah.
Like 6 minutes left in the game, I definitely see him part of a part of that lineup, to finish out games. I just don't see him as a starter. My current starting lineup, when fully healthy, I have Shea, of course, Dub, Chet, Dort, and then Queso. That's my starting five personally. But my
Mhm.
closing line is completely different. I have Shea, Dub, and Chet, but then I have Hartenstein and Caruso in place
Yeah.
for Dort and Dub because I just have an odd feeling come late in games against tough teams like Dallas, like the Rockets. Unfortunately, this year they've been playing very well, and then any Eastern Conference team that we play, like the Celtics and Cavs. I just see Dort being so physical and aggressive. He has like 5 fouls up to that point, just due to his defensive style of play, where we're gonna have to
That's
throw
possible.
Caruso in there anyways. And I've been saying it like it's a yin and yang thing with Caruso and Dort. All right. Dort is this physical presence that's going to be in your face and just put body to body on you and be as physical as he can. Whereas Caruso, he's physical in his own way, where he's attacking anytime he sees an just a slight opening, and it's like a graceful attack. It's not like physical with hatred or anything. Like he is like peacefully going in there and it's like, hope you don't mind, but I really, really want this ball so I can go get a layup on the other end. If you don't mind, just whereas Dort is just going to be like, I don't care who you are. This is my ball now. Thank you. Goodbye. And so it's just a yin and yang thing I see going on and why Caruso would be part of that closing lineup just because of how aggressive Dort is defensively.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, what's great about it is like there's so many options for what we could do a starting lineup,
Yeah.
closing lineup. Like it's truly an embarrassment of riches. And kind of going back to what you was talking about with Usman Jang and Jalen Williams, possibly being like left by the wayside just because the influx of talent that we've had. Like we still have potentially 3, 4 draft picks coming up in this loaded draft class.
Yeah.
Like, this like you're gonna have to compete for your spot. Like, Topic was a first round pick, and I'm sure they want to give him a look, but like he's gonna
He's
have
going
to
to have to
compete
compete.
for
Yeah.
yeah, like it's gonna be no mercy because I like we're truly building something special. And even if we don't win it this year, this core is locked up for the next 3 years. Like this
Yeah.
is
No doubt.
like there's a title window in place here. And we're gonna like Presti's not gonna mess around. Like, he's had experience with this. He knows what it takes to, kind of get to the finals. I think that he's learned from his mistakes. And we've seen evidence of that. We've seen, the bearing of fruit of that. So I think that next year is it's gonna be a bloodbath in terms of like trying to get on this roster. And
No
so
one's spot is guaranteed.
yeah. Well, there's some people that are
There are like
guaranteed,
three
but
guys, like guaranteed, like, yeah, your starters for sure. But
yeah.
like, I mean, it is going to be a bloodbath. And I like you mentioned Topic. At first, I crashed out on stream when I saw us drafted.
Oh, I did too.
At first, I crashed out because of the fact he was injured. He has an ACL injury. Like, why are we drafting a guy that we can't even play right now? And people were like, we did the same thing with Chet. And I was like, the difference was Chet wasn't injured at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Chet wasn't injured at the time. He got injured on a freak play blocking LeBron. Like that's how he got injured. Keep that in mind. Topic has been injured. We knew he had an ACL injury. And then I, thought it over for about a month or so, finally calmed down. I was like, you know what? It's not a bad draft pick. We traded Josh away. All right. Like he's kind of going to be our replacement kind of, but I kept on looking. I was like, but at his age compared to, who we just had for that role, he's more athletic already. All right. His shot is already better than his was at that age. Just looking at the free throw numbers and even the 3-point, percentage as well, his shot actually looks like an athletic shot. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It resembles something of a basketball player a little bit. And so that I kept on looking at that, looking at game tape, and I was like, this might actually be the best choice we could have made 12th overall. And the fact that he was, a lot of people had him as a top 3 pick before the injury.
Yep.
Like I had to keep looking at that, and it's like the upside is insane, and we were just in a spot at the moment where it's like, yeah, we could take a chance on a guy like that. And so at first I was upset, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, it's gonna be fine, and he might be, one of the key players for us next season.
Yeah, and I was right there with you in terms of like crashing out whenever it happened. We
I almost shut off the
famous.
stream.
Yeah, I think I said the words like I don't want to do this anymore. But no, like same thing like you were saying. Like once I kind of like stepped back from it, like I texted some of my scout friends like as we were doing the stream. I'm like, talk me down. They're like, dude, like I like some of us like some of the guys in No Ceilings like had him ranked like number 2 or number 3
Yeah,
prospect like going into the draft
like a lot of people
before
had him
his
as the
injury.
number 1 prospect.
Yeah, like in a crapshoot of a draft, like when somebody of that kind of caliber, that kind of ceiling falls to you at 12, like you take them and you ask questions later. Like you take the swing and you just try it out because I mean, it kind of going back to the whole Josh Giddey thing. Like, I was mad. Like, obviously, in hindsight, like, Franz Wagner, Jalen Johnson, guys like that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But like, that's not even who I can't even lie and say that's who I wanted. I wanted James Bouknight instead of Josh Giddey. And Josh didn't work out for us, but James Bouknight didn't work out in the NBA in general. So
Yeah.
and like with same thing with the Topic thing. Like, I wanted Deron Holmes, and obviously he got hurt. And I didn't know that we was going to be able to sign Hartenstein. I was very skeptical that was going to like be a thing. So I was
you were
like,
skeptical?
I didn't think that. I mean, we have no evidence of free agents like choosing to come here,
True.
man. Like that was a huge deal. Like I mean, I talked about it whenever he came on the pod. I messaged Joel Lorenzi of the Oklahoma, and I was like, "Hey, man, like, do you buy into this smoke about Isaiah Hartenstein?" He's like, "Nah, honestly, I don't." And he gave like 2 or 3 reasons why. I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling too." So like when it happened, like I was literally shocked. Like I'm sure like it was like a shock to the system of like the NBA world, but like me being a Thunder fan, like me like being locked into all this, like I was shocked that it happened because we just hadn't had a free agent of that caliber choose to come to Oklahoma City. And it was not an abandonment of how we play, because as we said on the podcast, and how everybody talks about on Twitter, like his passing kind of lends himself to like a thundery style as opposed to some of the other like true centers on the market. So I got that. But yeah, like just the departure of like the 5-out system, kind of bringing him in, and just the fact that he wanted to come here was just like mind blowing. I didn't see it happening, so I was like, if this is like Deron Holmes, like I still love Deron Holmes as a process. I think he provides a lot of that stuff. Like he's got some good playmaking. He can shoot.
Yeah.
He's a force. He's huge. He's young. Like I think he would have been really cool. But obviously with Presti kind of like 10,000 feet, like being able to like foresee like we're gonna bring Isaiah Hartenstein. I understand taking a swing on a guy like Topic.
Yeah. I thought we were gonna bring in one of Isaiah Hartenstein, or and I'm still a believer this might happen, Jonas Valanciunas. I am like the president of the Jonas Valanciunas fan club right now, and I just really like him. It might just be like nostalgia surrounding me a little bit with him when he was in like Toronto and then Memphis. I was like, ooh, I think he might fit in pretty well here in OKC, and I'm still a believer that we might trade for him. And so those are the two guys I was thinking. I was like, we're for sure getting one of those two guys, and we got one of them. And I thought we still could have got Jonas as well. I thought we still had some space. They're like, maybe we could potentially get him, but it's also I did mention the trade and everything. This is like our last segment because we have been talking for quite a while. That's usually a good thing. But we are running late on time here. But Jonas, I like the trades and everything. I mentioned Jonas Valanciunas, and the Thunder don't necessarily have to make a trade. Is the thing. Nah. They don't have to make a trade. However, there are a lot of options on the market right now where I think they could go get someone. I was wondering, like, out of everyone out in the market right now, who was someone that you think the Thunder could definitely get if they decided to pursue him?
I mean, the hottest name that everybody kind of wants is former Thunder legend Dennis Schroeder, which I'm not against. Like I think
I'm not against it either.
Like I'm right there. Like I even tweeted like we don't need to make a trade like at all. Like I
think I've replied to that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think this team could like not run the table, but I think that they are very capable of winning the title as is right now. But if you were able to bring in a guy like Dennis Schroeder, a guy that knows your team, knows your organization, knows the culture, is familiar with Shai, is familiar with Isaiah Hartenstein, and is a guy that you can plug into basically the role in the minutes that AJ Mitchell is playing right now. Yep. I mean, that's an upgrade that you take. Like he's
100%.
He's a veteran. He's a guy that's been playing very well this season, leading a Brooklyn Nets team that many people, including myself, wrote off as tanking for Cooper Flag. And I think that's kind of why they want to get rid of Dennis Schroeder. Like, hey man, like you're kind of bringing the vibes of this team up a little bit too high. So that's why I think like guys like Schroeder, Cam Johnson, maybe even Nick Claxton, who knows, like some of those pieces they're going to try to sell off.
They did say like no one's off the table. Like they're willing to deal.
No one's off the table.
Yeah, I read an article about that the other day somewhere. I can't remember where, but like everyone's available in Brooklyn. Like it's kind of known
Yeah,
like they'll hear offers for every single one of their players.
and we know, like I had this queued up. I was going to tweet it out tomorrow. I tweeted a little bit too much today, so I was trying to spread it out for
Chill a
tomorrow. We
bit.
got a few
Yeah.
days until the Thunder play, so but yeah, back at the trade deadline actually, like around the trade deadline, there was an article that came out of Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, friend of the podcast. He's come on the podcast a couple of times before, but
There we
he
go.
kind of had some notes. He said one league source brought up the idea of the Thunder pursuing Dennis Schroeder, who played with the team previously, Six Man of the Year
Yeah.
candidate. Schroeder could be a stabilizing force in the backcourt with MVP candidate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So like, and then I think even I don't think it was in the offseason, but like there was another rumor that kind of linked the Thunder with Dennis Schroeder as well. So like it's definitely out there. Like where there's smoke, there's
Yeah.
fire. Like the same thing. Like I didn't think anything was happening with Hartenstein. Like I
Something
think there's
happened
some
though.
smoke to this. Yeah, so
I
I'd be
don't mind
down with
Schroeder
it.
at all. I don't mind him. I really like him. I
Mhm.
do. I loved him when he was with the Thunder as well. He's not one of my like top options though. I
Yeah.
want us to add somewhat of sort of size and everything. My top two options right now. One of them is Dorian Finney-Smith. I think he would be one of the very few seamless fits in Oklahoma City. He's also a guy that might also potentially could make a running for his starting role if he proves his worth in OKC. All right, he's putting up like 12 points a game right now in Brooklyn on 40% shooting from deep, along with 5 boards a game, 5 or 4 boards a game. Like solid numbers right there from him. And he's on a $13 million contract. And I hate to, always like kind of put together these trade package scenarios and everything, but when you do talk trades, you kind of have to talk about
Hmm.
them. Kenrich Williams has been playing so well, even though he is like a staple in OKC. Kenny Hustle, he's just been playing so well that people are going to try to make offers for him anyways. Like I've seen people, like rumors start to speculate a little bit about Dallas even trying to pursue him. Where like,
Oh, that would be heartbreaking.
that would be a heartbreak right there. And I hope Presti never does that. All right. I'd never want to see us trade with one of our rivals. Never.
Yeah.
All right. But he is starting to draw interest now where teams might be like, look, he might have to be the option for us here. He like, let's go after him, get him. And, we would also get Dorian Finney Smith in return and hand him over like one of our first round picks that we probably don't need to use this, draft. That's kind of my thought process. And then I know you saw the tweet I had, Herb Jones. I
Yeah.
I love him. I think he is a Thunder player through and through. I think he is a perfect fit. And I don't think it's take much to get away from New Orleans. Like knowing Presti, he's gonna be like, you're gonna take 2 second round picks for him, and you're gonna deal with it. Like
Uh,
you're gonna, like he is like you'll take what you get, and you don't cry about it. All right, 2 second round picks. That's all you deserve, New Orleans.
yeah, no, I mean, I would love Herb as well. Like I was actually bringing up the idea of trading for Herb around the trade deadline last year.
Yeah,
Just for the simple fact, like not even talking about the additive value of him on the court, but the subtractive value of
yeah.
him not having to guard Shea, and also, some of these other teams that we're gonna be like contending with, like the Dallas Mavericks, like the Warriors, like, teams like that not getting him. So like I'm on board with like, trading for Herb
Kind
if
of like
that's an
gatekeep
option.
him.
Yeah. I just, we talked about on the pod, me and Cohen was talking before Tierney got on, and I just don't see the Pelicans getting rid of Herb Jones or Trey Murphy. I think everybody else is fair game, but I think those two guys, like, I think they are gonna try to build their team around.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Like I just because Herb Jones has value, and especially this year and this year's draft, you might want to try to get another first round pick in this year's draft. And which team has the most, potentially most first round draft picks this year? It's the Thunder. So like it's one of
Mhm.
those things where like I think like it's one of those things where like we could put together a package that they absolutely can't refuse. Like that's my kind of thing that I kind of see of Herb Jones, where it's like he's on a relatively cheaper contract as well, if I remember. It's not it's not too much. I'm gonna look it up right now. Like it's not that bad of a contract, I
Man, his
feel
three
like.
point shooting. cratered this year.
It did, but with Chip as our, 3-point shooting coach, we've seen
Yeah.
guys constantly improve from behind the arc, and he would be getting a lot of open looks on this team, so hopefully he would knock him down. $12 million contract right now. Like, we can easily match that, okay? Easily match it, and then throw in a first-round pick and be like, look, this is what you're getting. This is the best deal that you're going to get for this guy out of any other team in the league. You're going to accept this, and he's going to come over here. That's kind of like my thought process with it. And so,
Yeah. I mean, I think it takes more than that, honestly. I think
you think so?
I think it takes at least 2 first for a guy of Herb Jones' caliber, because I mean, this guy, I mean, he was first team all defense last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
I forgot he was. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. At the same time, Alex Caruso was too, and all it took was Josh Giddey and no picks. So,
That's my thing. It's just like, it's the fact that we have, one of the best GM in all of sports in Presti, where it's like he could truly, just knowing him and actually meeting him in person, his charisma, absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is a charismatic dude, and it's like I hate to use this word because it's what, the Thunder fan base gets clowned on a lot for, but he just has aura. He just has this some sort of aura. So he has this some sort of aura. When I was talking to him, it was like, oh my goodness, like, this man could convince me to jump off a bridge right now. Where it's like, that's where I kind of see it, is like, we could get realistically anyone we want with him at the helm.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'd be down for it. I mean, if you're going for that, like, you might as well bring in Trey Murphy, because you got the shooting and the defense and the athleticism and the
What's his
youth.
contract like? What's we're
I think
we're
he's still on
gonna
the
talk that now.
rookie deal, isn't he? He hasn't got his extension, has he?
Might be. Let me go to Spot Track. No, he got his extension.
Oh, he did. Okay, cool.
He that's probably off the table. 25
Make a
mil.
lot. Oh man,
Like,
shout out
well
Trey.
deserved. Well deserved, man. Well, let's be honest.
See, that's the, like, everybody likes to clown the Thunder for trading Alperen Şengün. And like, I'm sad that we traded the pick, but it wasn't because Alperen Şengün. I wanted Trey Murphy so bad in that draft.
Trey Murphy really turned out well. And like, Şengün even said that he didn't want to be in OKC.
Yeah.
Like, no offense. He wanted to be somewhere with a nightlife, and OKC's not known for that. And being honest, if you want to be in a city because of the nightlife, you're not going to fit in well playing for the Thunder. Because all these guys want to get to work. All right.
And so, I'm a Steelers fan, and Mike Tomlin likes to say, we don't employ hostages. So we like guys that want to be here.
Yeah. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, but speaking back on the moves, like, those two guys are like my top options right now. And of course, I'm always going to push for Jonas Valanciunas. I'm the president of that fan club. I'm always going to push for it. I'm always going to spread my propaganda about him. I'm always going to make these videos that everyone yells at me in the comment section before. All right. I'm still going to be doing that. I don't know. There's something about him that I think it's like, yeah, he could fit in with OKC. 7 foot. All right. Can rebound. He's shown he has a 3-point shot as well. All right. You leave him open. You tempt him to shoot a 3-ball and he will make it. Like, that's the thing with him. Like, I really like is the fact that he brings rebounding and he brings that 3-point shot and he brings size. Not necessarily a good defender, but with all these defenders that we have on the court right now, with no one really getting to the paint because we're getting so many steals a game, you can take that. It's fine. A trade-off situation. But still, I think the top 2 options should be Finney Smith and Herb Jones.
I wouldn't mind Valanciunas as like a depth piece, but
that's my thing. It's not like he's going to get a ton of minutes a game, but considering Washington, what we could do, Ousmane Dieng. All right, I know Dieng gang over here. Okay, I get it.
Sad.
But
I already hate it.
But you do Ous and a first-round pick. Washington's just trying to get a first-rounder in this year's draft, pretty much. That's what they want. They want more draft picks for this season, and they have players to trade away that they can get a ton of draft picks in return for already. They could end up with like 5 picks in this year's draft if they truly wanted to go out there with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. All right? They could do that. Jonas Valanciunas, we can just be like, look, Ousmane Dieng, and let's go ahead and give you like Miami's first-round draft pick. It's lottery protected, but Miami's going to end up as a playoff team with how weak the East is. All right? That's going to convert. If not, it turns into an unprotected pick next year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you really think Jonas is worth it? Like, they're gonna ask for a first for Jonas?
I think so. I think no matter what, when they try to trade him, they'll ask for a first because a contender's going to want to try to get him. Like Los Angeles already has talked about it, the Lakers, but like a contender wants him, and if someone really thinks like, yeah, this could be the piece that could help us win a title, you're like, just being honest, it's gonna be one of those things where like, yeah, we have this kind of give up because we think it's the move, we think it's going to get us there.
Interesting. Yeah, I would say that. I mean, like I said, as a depth piece, I'd be down. But like, if we're going for like a depth big, I'd rather have somebody like, I don't know, like probably like Robert Williams or something like that.
I hate the Rob Williams fit.
Do you?
I don't like it. I just don't. He's injury prone. Like that's my thing with him. Like that's the problem that we have right now is the fact that we're so injured. No one can stay healthy on our team for some reason. So I want someone that's not like a health liability. All right, that's the thing. And so with Rob Williams, but go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, just because like defensively, what he can do, whenever he's on the court, and I think that in the pick and roll with like our guys, he could do some work around the rim. Obviously, like he's not super modern as a big in terms of like 3-point shooting or anything like that. But like I said, like I'm just talking like as a depth piece. Like I'm more than content like just rocking with Jalen Williams and Kendrick Williams as like our
same.
suited, like
I'm
third backup big. But yeah, I mean, pie in the sky. Like if I was bringing in like anybody, like I'd love Cam Johnson. Again off the Nets, like. We're apparently picking on the Nets. Like we're trying to just pick apart the next onto the
pretty
Thunder
much
team. But yeah, I was arguing with somebody earlier because they say Cam Johnson brings 0 to this team, and I just highly disagree. I mean, he's shooting 43.1% from 3 on 7.6 attempts a game. I mean, if you look at a shot chart, like it's all green outside of the paint. Like I said, we have some streaky shooters. They're really inconsistent. Cam Johnson is a true 3-point shooting threat, and he's a three-point shooting threat with size. I think his defense has taken a step back, but that just is a product of playing on a tanking team. I think part of playing with the Thunder makes you want to buy in defensively, makes you want to play defense.
No doubt.
And so I think that, in the short term, we have enough guys that can kind of mask those deficiencies on the defensive end. But in the long term, I think that he buys in and, kind of not makes an impact like, all defensive type of impact, but, can be out there and show he belongs.
Yeah.
But I know his contract's a little bit of albatross in terms of like bringing him in. But
Cam's is just so high that it's kind of hard to bring him in. And so, but like there are so many options I truly think OKC could go after and get. And I'm gonna read chat a little bit now because I haven't paid attention to them at all, even though it's popping on the screen. I promise I've been reading your guys' comments and everything going on. Like we got some of the usual guys in here, like Matthew, Star, Austin Roberts, Mikkel in here. But I did see someone mention, all right, Matthew he said, I'd like us to go out and offer Adam something during the off season. What do you think about that? Bring back Big Kiwi.
Oh, Steven Adams. Okay. I thought you said Adam. I was like, Adam Silver? What are we talking about here?
No.
Is he a free agent in the offseason?
Yeah, I don't know. Let me look that up. Let me look up Steven Adams' contract.
Yeah, and like, whenever he got traded to the Rockets, like, for the memes.
He is a free agent.
He is a free agent? Okay, yeah. I mean, I'd be down as like, for vibes, obviously, like, and potentially like work his way into like a coaching or like front office role in the future. Like
Nick Collison 2.0.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I think that's what Mike Muscala is doing. Like Mike Muscala is getting a degree at Miami right now in like sports business or whatever. So I think he's on the fast track for that as well. So I would love it, like for the vibes alone. But also just like, another guy that's played with Shai, a guy that's great for culture, a guy that's great for leadership, could really help out Hartenstein and Chet in many different ways, defensively, setting screens, whatever.
I'll always love his bubble interview. I will always love that. When they're asking him, like, how was life in the bubble? And he was like, it was pretty chill, man. Like, let's be honest, we're living in a resort. Comparing it to LeBron's. I love the guy. He was one of the reasons I kept watching Thunder basketball was because we had a personality over there. Like Like, and I just think with his personality, he would fit in well. And it's not like he's a bad player. It's not like he's completely fallen off the map. He's still chill. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but I mean, like, that's all I really got talking about like trades and anyone that we could bring in. If you have anything else before we start reading chat a little bit and answering whatever questions they have before we sign off here.
Like I said, you're in the driver's seat, my man.
I'm in the driver's seat right now, which is not a good thing. You have not seen my driving skills, and so, but like I mentioned, we have a few of like the regulars in here. We have Thundertaker, who is a regular on Twitter, and so
Hey, shout out.
yeah, I love him in here. We have Star, Taneke Haro, like a few of the regular guys that we usually have in here. Austin Roberts. None of them have really asked any questions. I did see Star earlier say that you can't count on the Mavs in a high intensity playoff series, but the Nuggets you can, which I don't think is necessarily true. I think it should be flipped. I think you can count on the Nuggets just due to like the emotion that they bring, whereas Nuggets where it's like Jokic, this is like his second job pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. He's like just trying to go through the motions so he can get back to his horses. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I mean, Jokic is playing out of his mind. It's just that team is not as good as it has been collectively in the past couple of years.
Yeah. They've just fallen off a little bit. That's all. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
and teams have that. You have a little bit of a good streak, then you know it just falls off at some point. The wheels are going to fall off. It's the same thing that's going to happen with OKC and Dallas. Same thing that's going to happen with Boston. Every team has this happen. Like it's just a matter of the life cycle of NBA franchises. You always have that period where it's like, man, you're great, starting no longer have any talent around them. It might be time kind of rebuild the team a little bit and to get back up there. But
Yep.
what else do we got? What else? Another interesting thing I saw was from someone, WWE 23 all day. He said, if we were healthy all year, we would still be undefeated. When Chet and Hart was hurt, that was where three of our losses came from. What do you think about that? Do you think we would actually be undefeated?
I mean,
Like,
it's hard to say yes, but it's hard to say no as well. I mean, like I said, like I think this team is insane. I mean, we haven't been blown out like once,
no,
have we? Like, what's
I don't
our
think we
like
I don't think we've really been blown out
highest
at
margin
all.
of defeat? I'm trying to go back and look.
I think our
I'm
largest
just
margin was that Dallas loss.
Yeah, that would make sense. Let me
Like, I
see
think
here. Well, no, we lost by 2 to the Mavericks.
was it only two, really? Maybe the Spurs
Yeah.
then.
So yeah, that probably was it, and that just feels
Yeah. The
disgusting.
Wimpyless Spurs.
I'm trying to even find that. Where's it at? Not that one. We beat the Spurs. Yeah, we
First
lost to
game
the
we beat the
Warriors by
Spurs.
11. No, we only lost to the Spurs by 6.
So the Warriors stood by 11. Okay.
Yeah, that was the shell shock game. So yeah, that was our biggest margin of defeat. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, we lost to the Rockets by 3. I mean, hey, we're learning something. We haven't lost to anybody by double digits except for the Warriors, and that was
Yeah.
when we just saw Chet just get into a car crash on the court.
Jesus, don't tell me about it.
Yeah.
I still have nightmares. Matthew did also say his favorite player that's not part of the big three is Isaiah Joe. Who, like, I was curious, who's your personal favorite player on this team?
My personal favorite, Shai. I mean, yeah,
I can kind of tell with the background a little bit. I could,
yeah,
Kentucky guy,
yeah, huge Kentucky guy. Obviously, like he followed me on Twitter for my birthday like 4 years ago. So like,
Really,
that
that's
was really
sick.
cool. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I didn't spam him with DMs, but I've like DM'd him over the years, and he actually, along with Josh Giddey, whenever Noah was in the hospital, he
Yeah,
sent a donation to my family. So that was really cool. He's got a special place in my heart for that as well. And also, like, he's such a fun player to root for, man. Like he
he is.
doesn't get technicals. He doesn't bark at the refs.
No,
He doesn't really talk his crap. Like he's a humble basketball player. He plays an aesthetically pleasing game, and a game that I think is going to age beautifully because
it
he
looks
doesn't
like the
rely on
'90s when he plays.
athleticism.
It's
Yeah,
just
like
poetry.
yeah, and it's like he's one of the most skilled basketball players because a lot of a lot of guys in the league get by off athleticism and their size. And yeah, he's 6'7". He's got a long wingspan, but like he's not Giannis's size or anything like that. But just just the craft that he has, it's just very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. Personally, my favorite is Lou. I love Lou.
Yeah.
Reminds me a lot of my playing days. How I played aggressive, physical. I don't care if I'm bumping and bruising, falling on the floor and everything. I got told I played a lot like Bill Laimbeer when I was in high school. When I watch Lou Dort play now, I'm like, I kind of play like Lou Dort. What do you mean? Like I see our game kind of translate a little bit, and so end goal is for this to be big enough one day where maybe he wants to make a guest appearance one day. I have a bunch of end goals. I have
There you go.
I have three end goals for me. One of them is actually going to happen soon. I don't know if you saw the Isaiah Roby jersey,
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
we have a little bit of connection. He sent me that over the summer, and I was talking with him because he's playing over in Germany right now. And I was talking to him. I was like, hey, you should come on a stream one day. Let's play some like 2K or something. It's like he's like I'm actually down whenever I come back to the States. And I'm like, so we have that planned out going on. But
That's
then
what's
of
up.
course get Lou on. And then I tweeted at Jay Will the other day. I was like, "Yo, let's run some search and destroy for Christmas. Come on, let's run
There
some
you
COD.
go.
Let's run some COD." But I know ThunderTaker also just asked. He was like, "No bias. Who's the current MVP?" This probably be the last question that we do, then log off. But who's the current MVP?
I mean, it's Shea, man. I mean, people can say what they want to about like counting stats. Like he's elevated his game since
Yeah,
Chet got hurt. I mean, he's averaging I think like 33 points since Chet's injury. Like he's been efficient in terms of like his field goal percentage, his 3-point percentage. He stepped up on the defensive end as well, like just racking up the stocks. Really just like carrying this team through this hard time until Hartenstein was able to come back. And now it's like he's coasting. Like it feels like the game is easier to Shea than it ever has been in like these last like 4 or 5 games. Like I think he's got 30 and like he's had 30 in like the third quarter. Like I think like either his last 3 or 4 games. Like it's
he's been going
just
crazy.
yeah, he's got it down to a science at this point. And the fact that, the Thunder are the 1 seed and they look as dominant as they do, and they have as big of a lead on the rest of the West as they do. And Jokic, while he's putting up ridiculous numbers, the Nuggets are flirting in the play-in range.
Yeah,
I think that, the numbers on top of the winning and the dominance kind of lends to Shea more.
yeah. I want to say Shea. I do, and I think he will win MVP this year. He has to improve his 3-point percentage though. He's shooting 33% from three. I feel like the voters are going to look at that a little bit and be like, look, like yeah, he's averaging 30 points a game, but he has one part of his game that is just ugly. That's supposed to be a good part of it right now. Feeling that the voters would just look at that. I want to see him increase to like 36, 37. Then I think he for sure is winning MVP. Right now though, I think it's Giannis. So far into the season,
Mm-hmm.
they're sitting at what third, fourth, or fifth in the East right now, somewhere around there. They're starting to pick it up a little bit. Just had a nice win against the Magic, and he's just putting up crazy numbers once again. Just playing bully ball pretty much. And so, just personally, right now, I think because of Shea's lack of a 3-point shot, it just has him just a little bit behind Giannis. But at the end of the day, I do think Shea's still going to end up winning.
They're actually tied with 3 teams for the 5th seed right now.
Are they?
Which I thought they was up higher too. But yeah, no, Giannis has been playing out of his mind, and like that entire Bucks team, the way they turned
It's
it around
horrible.
after what was it, like a 2-8 start or something like
It was
that?
it
Like,
was bad, and the fact that they're now sitting tied fifth, like you mentioned,
hmm
that's impressive in its own regards, right there. And he has players finally stepping up, but even then, Bobby Portis hasn't been playing great. Chris Middleton, he's finally back, but he didn't have a good performance at all his first game. Damian Lillard's been off and on. It's legit just been Giannis carrying this team to victory. It reminds me a lot of when Russ won his MVP. That's what it reminds me of. When Russ, he didn't really have a ton of options. Like what? His second option was Steven Adams, in which he's a great player. Love Kiwi, but that's your second scoring option. You can't really win a lot of games like that. But yet they finished as the 5th seed, and he averaged a triple double. That's what Giannis is reminding me of right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, Giannis is definitely up there as well. I don't know. I was low on the Bucks coming into the season, and it made
Yeah,
me feel really smart at the early part. I I'm interested to see how long this run could last. Like,
I'm interested as
I'm
well.
interested to see. Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, no, for my money, it's still Shai, just because he's gone through the adversity, and it hasn't really slowed him down, or the team down, because of
Yeah,
his play.
no
So,
doubt.
yeah, I like Giannis as well. And then, as I said, Jokic putting up like 100 something points in 2 games is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like he put up 104 points in 24 hours. That is like he's putting up absurd stats, but I can't remember who said it the other day, but someone said they're just empty stats because his team's not winning. And at the end of the day, if you want to be an MVP, your team
Yeah,
also has to be winning. And so,
it's
but
like Cam Thomas dropped like 40 points and the Nets losing.
Jordan Poole, like he's putting up, he always puts up insane scoring numbers, but yet
Yeah,
his team is always at the bottom of the league. And so he has a ring though, so that's more than what we can say right now. He has a ring at least with Golden State.
yeah.
But yeah, that's all. That's all I got. Once again, thank you for coming on. I usually always do a closing statement here. Always talk about mental health. It's a big important thing to me. Personally, I have always struggled with it a little bit just growing up. It's just something I truly hold close to me as a person. And so, if you guys are ever struggling, you guys know where to reach me. You can come join the Discord channel. Always chat it up with the other Thunder people that we have in there. Message me directly. I always respond. Also, Twitter, you can reach out to me. It's literally just my name, Bryson Akins. Same with Insta, all the other social media places. If you ever just feel down and you want to talk, just please, please, please reach out. I get it. All right. I went through a really, really tough, kind of patch 3 years ago. I had a major surgery and I couldn't do anything. Made me think about dropping out of college and just maybe doing like construction or something back home. But thankfully, I had a good support group that kept me in there, and I want to do the same for you guys. So please, if you're ever struggling, don't be afraid to reach out. If you have anything to say, Dylan, go ahead, and then we'll go ahead and call it good here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would echo that statement as well. I'm always down to talk to people, if they want to talk about life, Thunder basketball, whatever. And, I like not growing up, like as my account was growing, like I know what it's like to be told no to, like,
Yeah.
if you ask like somebody to come on your podcast, or you ask to, like, talk to somebody, or like just be ignored. So I've made it a point to never do that. Like, I try to say yes to anybody that asks me. Like, I will try to make time to, be on anything. And, like, if you ask me a question, like, I'm not gonna leave you on red. Like, it might take me a while to see it because my DMs are kind of effed. But if I see your DM, like, I will take the time to respond as well. So, but yeah, no. Other than that, man, I just appreciate you having me on. It was a
Of
fun,
course.
fun Thunder conversation. Vibes are immaculate in Thunderland right now. So
They are great right now. I don't think Thunder fans can be higher right now. Like this is a great moment for us.
I mean, hey, if we had Chet, we'd be pretty,
If,
we'd
if
be
we
pretty
if we
high.
if we had Chet, it would be insane right now. We might have one loss because we would have dropped a fully healthy loss to someone absurd so far. But I mean,
Yeah.
like it's a good time to be a Thunder fan after watching, like I mentioned, the Isaiah Roby years and
Yeah.
all those times. It's a
Being
nice
mad
spot that
about
we're
him
at right
hitting a
now.
game winner in Portland. Uh,
But anyways, that's all I got. Once again, thank you for coming on. Everyone else, please, please, please take care of yourself. And hopefully we have more people coming on in the future. All right. And I'll see you guys in the next watch along for the NBA Cup. All right. Peace out, everyone.